All right, gang. If you'd have told me I was going to be a YouTuber, I'd have said you're crazy. But here I am on less than whatever 20, and I'm a YouTuber. Um, Here we go. So, do these numbers make sense? We're going to do something a little bit different today. I want you to grab a calculator, and I want you to pause the video. When I tell you to pause the video, do the math, and you're going to write in some of the answers. So you need a calculator, pencil, you need your book, and we are on page 316. So pause it and go grab that stuff. Okay. Um, so here we go. It's estimated that the average lifetime of a person living in the United States is about 75 years. Okay, so if we're going to take 75 years, about how many days are there in an average lifetime? The answers for some of this stuff are in the back of your book. If you look to the back, I'm going to give you a few of these. But in the back cover of your book, it'll give you like how many, feet in a yard, feet in a mile, possibly, or yards in a mile. But so it also has days. There's 365 days in a year. So you're going to take your 75 and you're going to multiply that times 365. Okay? Do that now, and then I want you to write that answer in up here. So you can pause the video and go ahead and do that. Okay, so the answer to that should have been 27,375 days. The average person lives 27,375 days if you live to be 75 years old. Well, about how many hours is that? Well, if this is our days, and we have to figure out how many hours are in a day? Okay, there are 24 hours in a day, so you're going to take that number of days and multiply it by 24. You can pause the video and go ahead and do that. Your answer for that should have been 657,000. Okay. So now we're going to take some of this and answer some questions. So it says use the data from the above math message right here to help you answer the following questions. It is estimated that a person sleeps 214,000 hours in an average lifetime. At that rate, how many hours per day does a person sleep? Okay, well, this is a tough one. So if we take these two numbers, this is how many hours that we live. And if you're sleeping this many hours, okay, if you look at these two numbers, if we doubled this, okay, so it would be 428,000. That's doubled. Okay, if we tripled it, we'd be pretty close. Pretty close. So what we're saying is 214,000 hours is about 1/3 of 657 hours. Well, do you think that you sleep about 1/3 of a day? Well, how many hours are in a day? And at that rate, 1/3 of the day is spent sleeping. 1/3 of 24 hours in a day is 8 hours. Does that make sense to you? You can pause the video and write that down if that makes sense to you or not. Down to number 2. It's estimated that in an average lifetime, a person watches about 105,000 hours of TV. This book was written a while ago, so probably not just watching TV, but maybe we can count this as gaming or on your phone, some screen time, basically. At that rate, about how many hours per day does a person watch TV? Well, if we go up here and a person lives this 27,375 days, well, we would have to take 105,000 and divide that by the number of days, which is 27,375. You divide that and you get a real goofy answer, 3.8356. So we'll round that to the nearest tenth. So let's just round that answer to 3.8. 3.8 hours a day. Does that make sense to you? Are you in front of a screen for almost 4 hours in a day? Some of you maybe, I hope not. But some of you, maybe aren't even close to that. But then you have to explain, does that make sense to you? So you can pause it quick, say yes, no, and just a quick one sentence answer if that makes sense to you. Let's move on to the next page. All right, so again, have your calculator ready and pause the video when I ask you to pause it. It is estimated that in an average lifetime, a person laughs 540,000 times. At that rate, how many times per day does a person laugh? So we're going to do the same as we did on that last problem. You're going to take your number of times or hours, this one was, and the number of times you laugh. So this one you're going to take how many times did you laugh and divide it by the number of days that the average person lives. Go ahead and do that now. So you're going to take 540,000, you're going to divide it by 27,375. When you do that, okay, like 19.7 times. So we could round that up. Now, number you can't, either you're laughing or you're not laughing, so you can't round that to a tenth. But that would round up to 20 times. 20 times per day the average person laughs. Again, you're going to pause the video and write down, does that make sense to you? Do you laugh 20 times a day? I hope so. I hope it's more than that. Okay, so pause the video and write one sentence. All right. It is estimated that in an average lifetime, a person takes about 95 million breaths of air. Does this number make sense to you? This is a tough one. This is a tough one. So you're going to take your 95 million and let's divide that by the number of hours, estimated hours that we live. Well, if you go back to the other page, your estimated hours are 657,000 hours an average person lives. So go ahead, pause the video, divide that, and we'll see what we get. All right, so you should have ended up with 144 and kind of a goofy answer like that. So let's round that. So if we round that to the nearest number of breaths per minute, or sorry, per hour, that is. Does that make sense? 145 breaths per hour. Well, in order to figure that out, how many minutes in an hour will make it a little more clear. If we take that number, 145, and we divide it by 60, okay, you're going to get less, like 2 point something, but even if we round that up, 3 per minute. Now, does that make sense? No, but there's a lot of math to go into that one. That was a little goofy, but we take more than 3 breaths per minute. So I want to move ahead. I want to go into the next page, and we're going to start this, and then you're going to finish this on your own. Line graph says use the data in the table below to create a line graph showing how the total amount of precipitation, which is rain or snow, changes from month to month in Ottawa, the capital of Canada. Then we'll use a straight edge to connect the points. Do not forget this part right here. You need to use a straight edge to connect the points when we're done. Okay, label each axis and give the graph a title. So you're going to take this information and plot this on the graph. And I'm just going to get started with you, and then I'm going to let you finish. So in January, okay, so we have January, we're going precipitation in millimeters. So on this side of the graph, we're going to write precipitation right here. Okay, spell that correctly. And then in parentheses, I want you to put, so here's precipitation, write that in there, and then put in millimeters right here. Down in the bottom, you're going to write just the word month, okay? And you're just labeling your graph. Okay, now we're going to go to January. Here's our January. We had 51. So we're going to slide up here and you're going to go right between 50 and 52. Let's count by twos. You're going to go right here and put a dot. February, you're going to find February and follow that up and you're going to go to 50. Let's just do one more. Let's go March. So March is 57. So we're going to come right up here. Here's 56, 58, 57 is going to be in the middle. And then you're going to plot all of these. Now you can draw the line as you go, or maybe after might be easier, but then you're going to take your straight edge and you are going to just draw a perfectly straight line, much straighter than mine. Mine is not straight, and connect all these plots. Okay, so the next one would be 65 in April, way up here. Connect that line. So I want you to finish that line graph and then come down and finish this question down here. Don't forget question number 2. And we'll come back to that. There's your lesson for today, gang.